first 2-3 minutes of your talk, you talked about data analytics.
Mm-hmm.
To my mind, that needs to be an integral part of what you do on a day-to-day basis. How
Absolutely.
are you using online data, and how are you analyzing it to stay ahead of the race?
I'm really happy to hear that
I'm a
you.
market research
Oh,
person
you are. No
for
wonder. My
35
good
years,
lord.
so that's my business,
No,
research and
there
consulting.
you go. So, same as you, right? Yeah. So it's interesting that you say it like that because that's exactly true. We use a lot of technology. So at the end of the day, when we define Karya at its core, we say that it is a technology enabled consumer data analytics company that has applied itself to fashion and therefore aims at being a brand, right? So whether it is revenue mapping, consumption mapping, post consumption analysis, or even predictive analytics in terms of what the customer is looking to buy and is not able to convert, data is actually the start point for all decision making inside of Karya, whether it is net selling price, price benchmarking, competitor benchmarking, consumer post sales consumption, consumer pre sale consumption. And therefore, the start point of any day and any function inside of Karya, including my communications head, she actually maps two KPIs every day to ensure that she's got the eye on the ball. So, given the vision that we have, we've actually, for every function, articulated two KPIs. Everybody in the company maps their two KPIs and therefore ensures performance on those KPIs. Just by virtue of saying KPIs, these are all data points and they're mapped on a daily basis. It all starts, of course, from the order revenue dump or from the predictive data analytics tool that we apply.
Can you give an example to the audience of where you have applied this and it's been helpful to you?
Sure thing. We had a customer called Madhu Agarwal. She had bought a pair of trousers from us and was extremely happy because trousers are very hard to find apparently for the Indian body. Well, I believe that. Um, she called us up saying, I've been looking for red printed trousers because I believe that's in these days. We're like, yeah, well, red prints are in, yes. We don't have a pair of trousers which are red and printed, but give us about 2 days. In 2 days, we actually sourced material that was red printed bottom weight cotton satin lycra and actually gave her a pair of trousers which she was more than happy to receive. That pair of trousers went on to become one of our best sellers in the next 3 to 4 months. So, this is a good example of where true customer demand, not sales led demand forecasting, has actually led to product development and then, therefore, incremental sales month on month.
My question to is it Shika? Nabila. Now, for your products, are you intending to manufacture them yourselves, or are you intending to partner with companies that do baby proofing items?
What we plan to do is we actually found a company in the United States, and we actually have started emailing and speaking to them, and they're going to supply us with all the equipment that we find necessary that we will bring in and that we will bring into the company. And what we plan to do is actually we also plan to open a store to sell products because when somebody wants the full service baby proofing done, it's a little more expensive to come to the house and do the full service. So we also plan to open just a store where we sell all the products for anybody that wants to come in and buy them. But we don't plan to produce them, no. We plan to get them in.
I think it's a brilliant idea. All the best.
Thank you very much.
Hello everyone. Good afternoon. I am Jagriti Mehta Sanghvi, a fashion fabric designer and garment entrepreneur, especially block printing, screen printing from all over the India. I have my tables in Jaipur, Rajasthan, in Badmer, Gujarat, Kutch Bhuj, and Machilipatnam in South. My key factor is block printing in organic fabric in vegetable colors, which is harmless, as ma'am said. My question is, ma'am, uh, how we can do with the organic silkworm sari with the block printing, organic block printing?
I've done it already. So what I did was I took natural ahimsa yarn.
Okay.
um, made wove, got the entire sari woven,
Okay.
then went to this particular man in Machilipatnam,
Machilipatnam.
Mr. Ishwaradu.
No, it's a. I forgot his name. I mean,
Okay, so this
he's
man.
a Bala Prasad.
Okay, this man who I approached was the only person at that time,
Right.
2 years ago, who specialized in natural dye block printing. So I had requested him to, I mailed him my designs. We got the blocks done, and we printed it. And
Okay.
it gets dipped in buffalo milk, and then the whole
Yes.
process is laborious, but it was possible.
Okay, because
So it was natural saris.
Yes.
It was natural white kora looking saris that were taken to him, and then the blocks were done.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Because we used to do this thing in Jaipur Sanganer
Yes.
on tussar,
Yes.
especially in the winter,
Yes.
and in 60/60 cambric or a mulmal fabric in
Okay.
summer.
Okay.
So your subject was very much interesting. So I said, how it is possible, or
Well, it was woven into a white natural sari
okay,
with no color. This sari, what I'm wearing, is not block printed. It's yarn dyed.
but
And
it's look like a block printing.
No,
It's a-
this is just pure technique of weaving.
okay.
And the yarn is dyed. Because when we also, what do I say, dye the fabric, it's not, the dye does not spread out evenly.
It's not overlapping, I think.
Yes.
Exactly.
So here, the yarn itself is dyed.
Okay, and what about the color
Fastness?
fastness?
There's no problem.
Okay.
Absolutely none
Otherwise,
whatsoever.
because of the organic fabric and all the natural dyes, it's dull, as you said.
Yes, yes, it is.
even-
I wouldn't call it dull, but
It
I-
is as compared to the naphthol
Yes,
print.
yes,
It is a
yes,
little bit
yes.
of, because we used to make a colors from the coil, from the sand, from the raggery. I mean the good, what we can call good.
jaggery.
Jaggery. So we used to make that color with indigo,
Right.
like of a.
What is wet dyed? Was it wet dyed?
It is wet dyed.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Nidhi, interesting idea of yours. Actually, so I have two questions, one for you and then one for Ms. Sumandar. So, question one for Nidhi is to just how. So this idea of inventory zero is a very interesting one. I used to be in retail before, so tell us a little bit more about what drove that and how did you achieve that?
So we were really setting out to solve one simple problem, actually one complex problem, which was that inventory was actually driving sales, where it should be demand that is driving sales. We also noticed that it was the number of sizes that was compounding the problem of inventory keeping, even point of sale efficiency, right? Because you may want something in size 6, but it's only available in size 2 in the color that you want, right? So we actually wanted to circumvent the entire thing and say, okay, great, this is what we have in terms of a catalog, and these are the kind of fits we have in terms of that catalog. Now, what do you really want to buy? And that should be available to you, right? So we actually devised our own ERP system, which I had coded in macro in Excel on my own, which is a simple logic that understands raw material and virtual inventory conversions. And then we linked it to a completely new process of manufacturing, which goes from order to dispatch within 48 hours. And then we tested the concept to see whether women were actually willing to wait 2, 4, 7, 8 days, and we understood that they were actually willing to wait for 10 days or even more, and pay for it. So we realized, and all of this is all data backed, right? So we went with a hypothesis and tried to prove the hypothesis one way or another. Wherever we were getting proven wrong, we had to come back and do our homework one more time. High fit. Yeah. So two things. Absolutely, I think the proof of fit is in trial. But two things can happen. Either you can wait to try, or you can try and reject. Two things. So the e-com model will actively encourage you to try and reject, which is why we on Karya.com also have very friendly return policies. Should you not like it, no questions asked, we'll take a return. But to aid your purchase, we have another algorithm that sits on the front end, which is again a logic that with 3 simple measurements will lead to your best fit. With that, Karya has achieved international benchmark rates of return 1 to 2% only. Gap returns at about 5, maybe 7, maybe 10%. So that is the level of data analytics that has fed from the front end. What is it that we're hearing? How is it that we're converting it into size, and where is the product fitting, right? That entire process is digitized. And the second part to this, where she's actually waiting to try and then buy, interestingly, Karya was also the first ever brand to prove omni-channel in 2014. We opened an experience store in June 2014 with only 250 pieces in the store and actually ensured 40% point of sale conversion, which I'm sure you will validate is unheard of. 60% repeat on these point of sales conversions. So wherever she was willing to try and then buy, we had already answered that question, and we are going to start to answer that one more time. We had to close that down because of funding constraints. Oh my God. But yeah, story of an entrepreneur's life. But this is really how we circumvented it. All of this was in articulation of the problem and then going after it from a solution mindset, again tested, validated with data. That's an overwhelming question. We are very, very gratified with the opportunities that have come our way. There's a long way to go. It's been really hard, but we'll get there because we don't give up. That's how I feel.
So thank you, Ms. Manu. My question for you is, how do you get around the perspective that people are generally reluctant to share like health data online? So how did you get into people's heads around that?
Okay, the starting point is people are reluctant, but at the same time, everybody has a pain point. So, given my earlier venture in market research, we spoke to, I mean, 10,000 plus people in terms of understanding how many of us really keep our records in place, whether for myself, for my kid, for my family, my parents, So, usually people in our age group, either you have ailing parents, in-laws, or your kid is growing up. And we realized that invariably everybody has this pain point that we tend to miss our records. We tend to miss our records. So that pain points we are trying to provide in terms of saying that, hey, your data is secured. So we are providing a lot of security viewpoints and telling that your data is secured. You can keep it. The data is in your hand. If you want to share, you share. Otherwise, you keep it with you. So the way you keep it in a file and you keep it in a drawer, same time, in the same way it stays on the cloud, but that's easily accessible to you wherever you travel, anywhere that you go, instead of it's just getting locked in a drawer and you tend to forget where you have kept it. So our pitch actually goes on the other side, saying that how